We're not hype and fluff. We hold the bar high. The brokerage serves our agents serve our clients.
Well, hey, if you can hear my voice and see my face, you are in the right spot. This is round two of our Broker Showdown series, where we are spotlighting amazing, incredible broker owner leaders all across the country here in the real estate industry. And today is certainly no exception to that. We've got Hayden, as I just mentioned. He is just an absolute joy. I get an opportunity to work with Joe. We've been working, I don't know, about a month or so, and I can already tell this guy is wicked smart. He's got an amazing servant-driven heart. The rules of the game are really there are no rules. We each get 3 questions. Anything goes. I have no idea what he's going to ask me. He has no idea what I'm going to ask him. And that's what partly makes it fun and dynamic. And so this is our second episode, and we've got many more lined up. So make sure you keep tuning back in. So I'm going to turn it over to our guest, 30 seconds or less. Joe, tell us just a quick intro, who you are, anything, whichever direction you want to take it. Tell us a little bit about you.
All right, Jake. Well, thank you so much for having me on. This is actually very exciting for me. This format is exciting for me. I love the impromptu nature, and I also love the back and forth and dialogue. I've very much enjoyed getting to know you and the locker room staff and everything that you all do and offer. Myself, I'm the principal broker and owner of Remax Properties East. I'm the owner of Remax Advantage. We serve the greater Louisville area, including southern Indiana. This brokerage has been around for almost 40 years. It's a real honor to actually be the current shepherd of this organization and its agents and staff. We just have a wonderful thing going here. My background is in professional music, professional aviation. I come up in, I guess I'd say, a non-traditional way into the business of real estate. But my dad was a home builder and my mom was an agent for a time. So I was exposed to the industry at a pretty young age and actually fell in love with just homes in general, not only how they were built and constructed, but just the architecture behind them, design, etc. So I've always had it inside of me. And as I had traveled around, lived in a bunch of different areas, moved back to the Louisville area in about 2006 and decided it was time to jump into something new and fresh, where I had an opportunity to grow and leverage my different skill sets and really essentially be unbounded except for by my efforts and my ingenuity. And the profession of real estate offered that opportunity. So I've been in it now since 2007, and it's been an absolutely amazing experience. I have an incredible wife who's an agent, a very successful agent. We're very blessed to have the organizations that we have. We've got 2 kids that are doing a great job now as well. And so we're just pedal to the metal, having fun and enjoying every second of this journey.
Well, it sure shows. Yeah, I appreciate that. And it's so fascinating to me when you and I first started getting to know each other about your background, which maybe we'll save that for a different day, another episode or something, about being a pilot and doing the music background. It's so fascinating, and man of many talents for sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, real quick on me, if this is our first time hanging out, depending on where you're tuning in from, my name is Jake. Just crazy entrepreneur where my brain never stops. I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who can relate. So I'm founder, CEO of a company called The Locker Room. It's a real estate coaching and training company where we specialize in working with leaders like Joe and coaching the leadership while also training the agents. And also co-founder in something called the Locker Room Leadership and Coaching Academy, which is an ICF accredited institution. Anybody familiar with the International Coaching Federation? It is like the gold standard. So people can go through that and receive their ICF certification. Also founder of the RELC, the Real Estate Leadership Circle, which is a community exclusively for independent broker owners, as we're seeking to create this network and meet up different chapters and things like that to really help the indies out there. So married, 2 kids, just like Joe mentioned. I've got 2 daughters, 11 and 9 years old. We're crazy busy. My background prior to professional work is baseball. So I played college and professional baseball in the minors, hence the locker room inspiration, which is more symbolic in nature because that's where I believe bonds are formed, relationships are formed, blood, sweat, tears, X's and O's on the whiteboard. And so when I started this real estate coaching and training company, it felt very fitting to use the symbolism of the locker room to do it. That's my background, and I'm sticking to it. And without further ado, I'm ready to rumble. Are you ready for this, Joe?
Absolutely. Let's bring it on.
Let's do it. Broker Showdown round 2 kicks off now. My very first question for you is, And I like to ask this to broker owners because sometimes I catch them, on the fly here. So let's say I am an agent in the Louisville, Southern Indiana market. Right now, I'm exploring my options. I'm considering making a switch. You tell me or give me an example of why would I align with you and the fine folks at Remax Properties East, Remax Advantage. Tell me why.
Excellent. Okay, great. Actually, as you well know, we are constantly on the hunt for incredible agents. It's a very interesting journey as you seek to find people to align with. So this is a key part of our organization, key part of our profession right now is to get together the biggest group of great agents that you possibly can to best serve clients. And so I think what I would say to answer your question is really straightforward. Our core value proposition at this organization has remained durable, in my opinion, since the founding of the company almost 40 years ago. It's very simple. The brokerage serves our agents serve our clients. And so we effectively filter all of our business decisions through this value proposition. So we've got a consistent framework upon which we can grow and adjust to the needs of the marketplace and the profession. This is, I think, really kept our agents and our clients front and center. While it's a very simple concept, it's proven, and I think it's resulted in a lot of demonstrable success in both numbers, unit sales, volume sales, number of satisfied clients, reviews, testimonials, all the type of feedback, goodwill that we would experience that affirms the direction that we're going is a positive direction. For me personally, I'm a non-selling broker, so my days are spent actually working on the business in a variety of ways. I'm constantly engaging with agents and staff, our vendor partners, the industry at large. It is a nonstop journey as a broker of a brokerage of our size to pay close attention to what's going on, stay in front of it, and constantly be delivering that value proposition back to our agents. In that case, I regularly meet directly with agents. We discuss all aspects of professional development. We help them solve client and transaction challenges. We craft solutions to help our agents achieve their highest potential. I also work alongside an exceptional group of managing brokers and an incredibly experienced and capable support staff. It's wonderful. We've got these just incredible people around us. It really lifts me up. It's part of the big why that I show up every single day in the way that I do. Being in this type of environment, there's a lot of care, but we're also surrounded by a lot of expertise and professionalism. So ultimately, it turns into a pretty fun and effective work environment. I would say more directly to your question of why someone should align with us if they're thinking about coming here. If I could break it down to something simple, I would say we're not hype and fluff. I know there's a lot of emphasis on social media these days and a lot of emphasis on telling your story, which is very important in our business for creating and maintaining relationships. But at the same time, we want it underpinned with a real solid foundation of actual hard work and that we're actually honorable, caring professionals. We hold the bar high. We strive, as you said in the beginning, to be servant-hearted leaders. We're clear-eyed about the challenges facing the modern real estate professional. I think that's been very beneficial to us. It's helped us retain our agents, but also made us very attractive to agents from the outside as well. And as you know, Jake, over the last, say, 5 years or so, our business has been in the middle of what I call profound change. It's not just a new tech tool or a new app. It's fundamental change in our industry, how agents are paid, how relationships are created, what contracts we have to use, the concept behind how money flows in this business and who's negotiating for what. Also, we have this additional tool called AI that over the last couple of years has been becoming more and more a part of not only our organization, but the industry and the world as a whole. And it's bringing about change so fast and so consequential that for us, we've leaned into it, pedal to the metal, right? We want to be, as I've said to you before, we want to be a driver of the bus of change, not a passenger. We want to make sure we're ahead of the game, but we've got a lot of challenges we're facing in the industry with the NAR, MLS, data, the housing industry as a whole, lack of inventory, financial issues, you name it. It's a major thing to transact real estate today at scale facing what we face. So I think for somebody looking to change, being aligned with an organization that embraces wise change, we're forward thinking. We emphasize a culture of education and business wisdom, which is more than just being a great agent, being a good business person as well. And that to me is a great starting point for not only a new agent, but also an experienced agent to become and maintain being a wildly successful professional.
Thank you for that. Here's why I love asking asking that question. And usually I catch people off guard. Little backstory, I went on a mission last year to interview 100 broker owners in 90 days, and I did
Wow.
it. And I asked a series of questions, one very much of which was kind of what I just asked you. And the most common response I got was around caps and splits and fees and shares of whatever they're sharing now. I didn't hear that. And I know you're extremely competitive, but what I didn't hear was you lead with anything like that. And anybody watching this on the fly, you can tell a leader and their capability to lead based on the articulation on the fly. What Joe just gave you is a masterclass of articulating substantive value proposition, not just, oh, it's because we're this split and this cap and this fee. That's why. I mean, goodness gracious, I'll have to go back and watch all the things you hit on, and you can tell that is very ingrained into you. And last thing from me is Joe and I have started working together. They are our exclusive partner in the Louisville area. I can't remember the counties exactly, but we have recently entered into that. Every engagement with staff, with agents, they show up strong. It is consistent across the board the way you described. And give us a glimpse very quick on, I'm giving you a chance to flex here a little bit. How many agents are you? And you just shared with me some recent statistics in your market that where you guys are ranked and positioned. Give us a little glimpse about that, and then it's your turn to ask me a question.
Right. I'll say it like this. We punch above our weight class. We are regionally in this area, we're a pretty big brokerage. The greater Louisville area is a mid-market in a sense. We're probably ranked in the top, say 15, 20 to, 15 to 20 in cities across the country. So we don't have a lot of mega brokerages or big organizations that you'd see in other metropolitan areas. So we're at about 175 agents at this point in time between both of the companies on both sides of the river. We're right on a border of the state, and we're in an economic and geographic region that's relatively large. It's generally called the greater Louisville area. If you're in southern Indiana, they like to refer to themselves as the sunny side of Louisville. There's a little healthy competition going on, but we're on both sides of that river. And at 177 agents, 175 agents, we're at a reasonable size. We're competing against some brokerages that have 250, 300, 400 plus agents. And last year, for about 2/3 of the year, we held the number one spot for sales volume. And I really think that speaks to the nuts and bolts of our organization. We almost pulled off holding number one throughout the year, but it is challenging at our size. But at the same time, what we did was amazing. This year, we started off strong, but last month, March, again, we were the number one brokerage in the greater Louisville area for sale volume, listing unit volume, things like that. Actually multiple different categories. And I just can't say enough about how big of an accomplishment that is for an organization of our size to be competing in the environment that we're competing in and to have that type of success. So not only are we getting a reasonably strong productivity on per unit per volume on an agent basis, but we've really brought together, and I think this is one of the secrets of our organization and any organization like ours that's having a lot of success. We brought together a lot of agents who have great spheres of influence, and they know how to create and maintain relationships. So we're essentially an interconnected group of 170 plus small businesses that all of those small businesses to some extent have a great sphere that they're marketing into that's churned business in some cases over many, many, many decades. So that's really shored up when I mentioned in the beginning about, what I said earlier about hype and fluff, but having that core fundamental strength under it. That's what I'm talking about, is having those relationships, having those sphere of influences, having those networks of not only clients and potential clients, but also vendors and people who are in the field for mortgage, title, insurance, et cetera, inspectors that are able to solve problems for not only our agents to help them facilitate more transactions, but our clients to have a more satisfactory transaction experience. So it all plays together into driving us to the top of that results list, as I like to look at it, because we don't lead with our sales. That's a product of all of our hard work and effort, but we can look at those sales and say, okay, to a degree, we're heading down the right path. This is working, and let's keep refining and keep building and growing down this path.
So good. So good. Hey, give Joe some love. This is just question number one, but if you heard something and liked something he said, drop it in the comments below. We would love to know what he just said resonated with you. And with that, Joe, it's your turn to ask me a question now. So over to you.
Okay. So what I would like to know first and foremost, Jake, and I think we touched on this a little bit, but I really want to hear it from your perspective. In a perfect world, describe to me your ideal agent avatar. What does a fully well-rounded, developed agent look like from your perspective as an experienced coach and trainer?
That's a great question. I haven't been asked that in quite some time. So let me think about this. I'm going to say, so for me, a lot of them, Joe, are intangibles. This may or may not answer your question, but this is my belief system. So some words that come to mind are that make a well-rounded agent, somebody that thrives and isn't just a one-hit wonder, but they're in this for a career, right? Somebody who's hungry, right? They got that hunger. They got that fire in their belly. Whether it's somebody said they couldn't, therefore they got a chip on their shoulder and something to prove, I'll bet on that person all day long. But it also doesn't have to be a negative type energy either, but they're hungry. They know there's more. They've got that whisper in the ear, that tap on the shoulder, that punch in the gut that says, no, you're made to do more. You're in control of your own destiny. Go fulfill your big why. Go fulfill your big purpose. There's something almost like a divine energy that grips that individual. That's what some of the characteristics that I mean when I say something like hunger. Some people might call that ambition, connecting with their big why, their big purpose. It all kind of molds into the same thing for me. Second, somebody who's consistent. The agents that I see successful, whatever that means, but thriving, surviving, longevity in this career, understand consistency. They're willing to accept the boredom that's associated with mastery. They're willing to go to the gym, metaphorically speaking, and get their reps in. They're not doing it for show or what their neighbor's thinking, but they just take the axe and swing it every day through things like lead gen, lead follow-up, going on appointments, negotiating contracts, and consistently script and role playing, practicing, in other words. They understand that they have a mindset of a CEO that this isn't just about slinging homes because I like helping people. I enjoy looking at homes because HGTV told me so. The people that I enjoy or think makes that ideal avatar also enter this business with a CEO mindset. We wrote a book, shameless plug, just published it, called The 19 Things They Don't Teach You in Real Estate School. If anybody wants to check it out, go to 19thingsbook.com, 19thingsbook.com. And that's where we outline the 19 areas, kind of to your question, that I believe most agents who are now successful wish they would have heard, wish they would have been told early on in their careers, but didn't because, no offense to real estate schools, maybe, they're just preparing you to pass a test and keep you out of realtor jail. That serves a purpose, yet it doesn't teach you or set the right expectations of how to be an actual business owner who happens to sell homes. And so it's just a mindset shift coupled with hunger, grit, determination, consistency. I can go on for days, but those are a few of my answers to answer your question. How'd I do?
That's excellent. Actually, you went right to the business aspect, which was one of the things that I was thinking about. And I say this all due respect, but most people have an employee mindset. I mean, that's, we always think about getting our first job, right? We're going to go work somewhere. I worked at Lee's Famous Recipe Chicken when I was young, right? That was a big deal for me to show up, do the job that I was supposed to do. I got paid something, but I was working for somebody and at a set parameter. I just show up at this time period. I'd accomplish, I worked in the back in the kitchen. And so we had to cook X amount of chicken and handle the biscuits and you name it, whatever went involved. That mindset of the framework that I'm working in is already created and I just need to show up and work in that framework. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. A lot of people are happy working like that. But as a real estate professional who is commission driven, commission based and sales based, especially when you don't start with that framework or no one ever even gives you that framework and you have to create it yourself, that's where the business mind comes in. That's where, as you said, being the CEO of your business. And as I like to talk to the agents, not only are you the CEO of your business, but you're also the janitor. And also you're an employee. And also you're head of HR. And so if your employee doesn't show up at 9 and time block in lead gen, not only do you have a problem with your employee, but you have a problem with your HR department and your CEO's failing to manage all of it. So, once you start to see yourself as a business and that you have to take initiative and you have to create that framework, it really is a game changer as far as the path of success in my mind for any agent.
I completely agree with you. Couldn't have said it better. And that's why you're you and I'm me. All right. My second question for you now is more from a leadership type lens, somewhat similar, I suppose, but you'll see what I mean here in a minute. So real estate, I think we can all agree, and in fact, you alluded to this just moments ago, can be challenging, right? Especially, I don't know, the last 12 to 18 months or so, things are shifting, needless to say. And there's some other outside forces, whether it's economics or technology and other disruptions that have kind of be unsettling for a lot of folks. So here's my question. What do you feel are the top skills required to lead people through difficult times? So I'm approaching it from a leadership lens. What are those leadership qualities to be a skillful sailor and help your people through adversity?
Okay, this is, of course, a great question. And from the leadership perspective, obviously puts a little bit of a slant on it, because I would answer it differently, probably as an agent this day and age, because the filter agents are looking through in our current market conditions is a challenge. And I do think that great leadership is necessary to help align people and essentially bring them through this forest that we're in. And I think this is not just the real estate industry. I think it's the world over. We're facing these new technologies, and there's issues with adoption, implementation. How are you going to deliver your service? What exactly are you going to be doing, for example, in an AI-driven world? And so we're facing these paradigm shifting technologies, and that's shifting leadership. It's shifting what you do as a leader, how you lead, what you focus on as a leader, the role that you're going to play, I think. And it's, that story is being written in real time, essentially, is the bottom line. So we're all working through it as we go. I think in this day and age, one of the key elements of being a great leader is the ability to remain calm. I obviously wouldn't get on this and say I'm calm all the time, because there are things that come up that do tend to push you and challenge you and maybe elevate your energy some. But I've found, as a starting position for me personally, the ability to load shed and not take on stress and to stay calm in adversity has allowed me to keep an open mind, has allowed me to stay motivated and capable of intaking the variables necessary to be able to make good decisions and lead. So the way I see it now, change is coming so fast. It's essentially exponential in our profession at this point in time. I don't expect that to be changed. I expect all aspects of our profession to be questioned, essentially going forward. We're seeing that play out on the big stage through the NAR settlement, the clear cooperation policy, sharing of listing data, what Zillow's saying they're going to do, what Compass is saying they're going to do, what some of these MLSs are doing as far as merging data, you name it. There's almost not an aspect of our business that's not being challenged and questioned. So tradition, local custom, the way we've always done it, for example, depending on how you work and think, is being pushed to the side. And now we're having to rework essentially the entire profession in so many ways. So I also think part of the leadership components is being open to wise change. We have to pay close attention to industry news and trends. I think you also have to be willing to take a stand and voice an opinion. It does put you on an island sometimes. It does, as I like to say, if you're catching flack, you're over the target. And I've caught a lot of flack over the years by speaking up on certain particular things that I'm passionate about and believe in. I think it's important as a leader to take those stands and voice your opinion, because a lot of times people are thinking the same thing, or they're wondering if anyone else is noticing the problem that they notice. And when you say it out loud as a leader, it helps bring alignment. It helps bring camaraderie. It helps everyone feel like they're heard and belong. So that's an important aspect as well. I think something else that's come up over the past decade, maybe even I would say over the past 5 years, especially post-pandemic, is that we are gaining a new, I would call, emotional intelligence in business. Now, this has been written about. I'm certainly not the first person to come across this, but not just in business, in all aspects of human interaction in life. I think we're getting a lot wiser about how people act, react, interact, etc. So having a great deal of empathy for our fellow agents, staff, our clients, everyone we encounter in the transaction, that's a key part of great leadership. You've got to care about what you're doing and those you lead, and they have to know that and see that. Your willingness to have open conversations, be humble, listen, make meaningful effort to help people achieve their dreams as opposed to putting your dreams first and foremost. That's one of of the challenges in the business that we have, the role that I personally have is I do have to find a way to keep every person in the organization, in front of me in so many different ways, because not only do I have to lead through change, but I also have to push and motivate. And that does mean taking a knee personally at times. It does mean for me personally, having to seek a real healthy work-life balance. But the bottom line is, I think in this new world, not only are we revisiting some of these things that we used to blow off in the past at the office, oh, you're having a bad day, or who cares if this hurts your feelings. We are really having to focus in on that, because it's important to building those strong relationships and that strong foundation that we can therefore go out and best serve our clients and really ensure that there's a lot of smiles and a lot of joy in this process, even though it can be challenging and difficult.
Very, very insightful indeed. And I wrote down some of the things that you had mentioned. I think framing this, I don't know where I heard this or got this from, but they can have the credit. Something to the effect of, when times are good, people listen what you say. When times are tough or adversity hits, they watch what you do. And so some of the notables that I drew from what you said, a sense of calm during the storm, being willing to adapt and change and be flexible is important. Being a student of the game, having a collaborative approach to hear all aspects and perspectives, having empathy you hit on. And then the last thing I wrote down from what you said was essentially putting others first, which is hard sometimes, but really, as Zig Ziglar would say, help people get what they want and you'll have everything you want. Kind of that spirit, that attitude is all encompassing of what I just heard you say. So awesome leadership lessons and wisdom right there in that answer. Thank you. All right, over to you.
Okay. So I'm going to ask, as a coach, what do you think is the most common challenge a new agent faces today coming into our profession?
Oh, man. Okay. That kind of goes back to, I think it's to not necessarily anybody's fault. I'm not trying to point the finger at like a real estate school or even the agent in this instance, but I think it's a lack of expectations. And when there's a lack of expectation, the gap between reality and the expectation is where resentment lives. I think a lot of agents can build quick resentment in this industry and therefore get out of it, which is unfortunate, because I just look at the numbers. 87% of agents don't make it statistically, and we are fighting to change that every single day by swimming upstream and saying, what's the root? Where can we change things as early as possible to lessen the learning curve, maybe even talk somebody out of getting into real estate, if that makes any sense at all, because the barrier of entry is low. Let's be honest, and guys like you and I love our profession. We love our industry. We want this to be seen as one of the most noble and worthy careers that there is, because I believe it is, as we're handling most people's largest investments. Yet for the struggle of that new agent walking into this, it's not, oh, I'm going to make a Facebook post and all of a sudden business is raining down on me. It's not, I'm going to go to church, and everybody at church is, of course, has a need to sell their home tomorrow, so they're going to use me. This is hard flipping work, and it takes time, it takes patience, it takes focus. What you do today shows up in 90 days from now, generally speaking. And we talk about, just like a parent, if you're fortunate enough to be a parent out there, you can relate with this. As a father of two, last time I checked, I didn't get an instruction manual when either of my children were born. You just figure it out. You're resourceful. You go on instinct, discernment, and generally you figure it out or know what to do deep down. And the same is true for real estate. They handed you a slip of paper saying you passed the exam, and it's like, yay, now what? And we coach our agents. The 5 things that make up a real estate agent's job description is every day lead generate, every day lead follow-up, every day go on appointments, every day negotiate contracts, every day script and role play. That's your job description that nobody handed to you. Those are the expectations. And just like your other job, if you choose not to go to work today, you choose not to show up for work and do the things that your boss told you to do, what happens? You're out of there. You're fired. So the question becomes, would you hire you? Right? Did you show up for work today? Did you show up yesterday? Do you plan on showing up for work tomorrow? See, it's a model, not a menu. This isn't the Cheesecake Factory. Okay. It's a model, not a menu. And I think that is part of the struggle as to what contributes to the lagging number of why so many agents fail, to your question, is a lack of real expectations. This is not easy. You are launching a business. You cannot be a 007 secret agent if you opened up a sandwich shop up the street. I guarantee you'd have marketing and for open sign and tell all your friends and their friends about it. And yet something weird happens when we get our real estate license, and now all of a sudden we don't want to sound slimy and salesy and it's all weird. Well, I don't want you to either. That's where skill set comes into play. And this is the last thing, because I know I'm rambling. To the agents, I've been saying it's, hey, Jake, how do I thrive in 2025? Right? It's my acronym, CRMs. CRMs is how you thrive in 2025, but it's not what you're thinking. I'm not talking about customer client relationship management softwares. Okay. CRMs, consistency. We've already spoken about this. Those agents who are winning at a high level are as relationships. I'm not just saying building it wide. I'm saying building it deep, real relationships. M, market knowledge. Because of artificial intelligence, and we are having more sophisticated buyers than ever before. Information is everywhere. So if your job as an agent has historically been just opening homes and putting people on drip campaigns, you're in trouble. You better get really clear on what your actual value proposition is, and you better be a student of the market and able to interpret what all this data means to the other individual. And then the S of the CRM's acronym stands for skill set development. That's what's going to separate the pros from the amateurs, the ones who last versus the ones who point the finger and say, oh, real estate, that doesn't work. That's not for me. I'm going to go get a real job. Right. No, this is very much a real job. You're the one choosing not to work and spend the time developing your skill set, which is going to separate you from the majority. So that is my answer.
I love that, Jake. I don't know if I told you I'd been on the real estate commission, and part of the reason that I put my name in the hat was because of education. And it was something that having been a flight instructor, had a flight school, and seen, engaging with people in a process that's going to result in them taking this vehicle up in the air that can crash and kill them, and or passengers, injure people on the ground, destroy property. I mean, said differently, very, very serious. To get that license, I see the real estate license as having some parallels, just as serious as I'll tell agents at times, that we have the same financial challenges in some ways because we deal with such big numbers in the way we work. We fortunately don't have the element of losing your life in a crash necessarily in this profession, but it's still a very, very serious profession at the licensure stage, where essentially that's the public protection component that the state is saying you're authorized, you meet the minimum standard to participate in this process in our state. And I will tell you, not only down the path that you were going, but as I worked my way back up, I came to believe and find that in the past there may be as more emphasis on getting as many people licensed as possible, and some of that might be a political issue or involving organizations that benefit from there being a lot of licensees. But at the same time, the downside of that has been a test and a bar that is so low, like you mentioned, the low barrier to entry, that, and as it was said to me one time, if there's a low barrier to entry, there's also a low barrier to exit. You spend $100,000 getting your law degree, you're going to have a tough time walking away from that and deciding to go a different direction after going through that process. But you spend a few $100 getting a real estate license over a few months of online classes, and it doesn't work out for you, walking away as a very minimal penalty. And so, that motivation, as you said earlier in an answer, it has to come essentially from the agent themselves in many, many ways. Without that, and it's not something you are born with necessarily. Some people are, but it can be developed. But you have to develop the skill sets of motivation, the skill set of the framework. The CRMS that you were just saying is a great acronym of that. of that journey at this day and age and how that works. But like you, I've been on that mission to kind of figure it out. And it does, in my mind, involve the core licensure, the beginning of the process, how people are initiated into it. And I understand the need and want to keep that barrier low to facilitate certain aspects of the business. But on the other hand, it does put into the brokers' hands and the industry at large how to address agents coming out of school who are minimally qualified and really truly incapable of representing somebody as they should, even though they hold the license. And that is going to continue to be a challenge, I think, going forward. And in the AI world, I think we're going to see what I would refer to as the great cleaving in many ways as you adopt these new technologies, get skills at them, even if you aren't the smartest, sharpest tool in the shed. Because of these tools, you're going to be advancing fast. If you can apply that to hard work, good work ethic, good time blocking, great relationship creation skills and maintaining skills and the willingness to put the time and effort in, I mean, you've got all the hallmarks of a champion right there. And it's going to make it harder and harder for newer agents to come in and get traction. I think, and that dynamic again is something we're going to have to lead through and work through as we go.
Yeah. I want you guys to tell us in the comment section, if you're in real estate and you're familiar, obviously, with what we're talking about here, drop in the comment section maybe what are some reasons that you think the majority of agents fail, or what they're maybe not doing that some have figured out to create such a swing in that direction, why 13% statistically make it and 87% don't. I'd love to hear. So sound off in the comments if you guys want to weigh in on that, or what your opinion or perspectives is on that. So Joe, I'm going to move to my last and final question then. It's my turn, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Me? Okay. All right. So I kind of want to a peek under the hood, man. This is more of a cultural question, a behind the scenes type question for you. What strategies do you use to motivate, inspire your team members? How do you ensure your agents and staff, for that matter, feel included, feel valued, and feel heard?
I think I would start off by just maybe framing a challenge. And the challenge is, as your brokerage grows, as you get more and more agents coming in, it absolutely gets harder to have that same close connection, have that knowledge of every agent's particular needs, the challenges they're facing. It does become a organization-wide challenge because agents actually do need help. They really do need support. They really do need sometimes face-to-face, down and dirty, hands-on, let's get this figured out to help them get through the challenges that they're facing. And, the blunt reality is there's only so much time in the day and there's only so many people that we have on staff. And so we really do have to be creative, and we have to find effective ways to ensure that agents feel valued, connected, heard, which is a critical part of our organization. I also think another way to look at it too, Jake, just not only framing the challenge of growth, but as far as an organization is concerned, not only do we have our clients outside the organization that drives our profession, but inside the organization, we essentially have two groups of people that both need motivation, both need training, both need the support of leadership to thrive. And so we have our agents themselves who are affiliated, but we also have our support staff. And just like anybody that works at any company, you want to feel like your work is valuable. You want to feel like what you're doing matters. And so we have to look at both of those groups of people and make sure that we're doing our best to do exactly like I said, ensure that they know that what they're doing is working, helpful, and valuable. One great thing at our organization that I love is our staff has decades of experience. I think it's 150 plus 200 years of combined experience amongst the staff. Most of them have been in the business longer than me. They've got an incredible amount of experience interacting with agents. They know that serving the agents is our core mission. When they see something, when they hear something, when they experience something that leadership needs to know about or that needs a resolution, or if an agent calls up and they literally need a helping hand and a lift up, they know that we have to do that and that we have to pay close attention. Our agents are incredibly important to the organization, as much or more so than our client base. balance. It all is in harmony. It all works together. So as we're working through things and as we're growing as a company, we're really having to look at both of those groups of people and making sure that we're serving them and we have a welcoming environment, a positive work environment. And if there are problems or challenges or disagreements or any issues that come up, that we're able to have a safe space to talk. We're able to, as I talked about before, having some of that emotional intelligence and that willingness to speak up and listen. Also, I think something very important we don't talk about necessarily often, but real estate can be a very thankless job. I mean, there is joy at the closing table. There is satisfaction getting an accepted contract. It's wonderful to get someone on the phone and find out you're going to do a buyer presentation with them. There's a lot of great things that go on, but there's also a day-to-day grind of wash, rinse, repeat, and certain things you have to do that wears down even seasoned professionals. So you're always trying to seek that work-life balance, focus on mind, body, spirit, and real estate can be all consuming because of that need to serve others on their schedule and put their needs first, can really put you in a tough spot. So I see that as a recipe for disaster without careful planning, paying attention to your health and well-being, acknowledging this business is ultimately, as you said before, it's a career, it's a long game. I try to explain that to the agents as much as I can. It's not deal to deal. Yes, we obviously want a continuum of transactions, but what you want is a career. We're not going to live and die on one transaction necessarily, but we're certainly going to not make it if we don't create and build strong, durable relationships. We don't build strong skill sets in terms of negotiations, pricing properties, technical aspects of transaction management, the tools that we use. All of that plays into it. So more specifically to your question about what we're doing technically under the hood, not only are we using your traditional, pick the phone up and have quarterly call downs of the brokerage and talk and engage and find somebody in the hall, they want to talk. I will regularly reach out to specific agents, invite them in, especially if I see them or understand they've got a challenge that they face. We have an app inside the office called Converse. It has everything inside of it that we use at our organization. It's all of our links, all of our paperwork, all of our tools, all of our training, all of our scheduling calendars, you name it, and it shows up on their phone. So we have the ability to push notifications out, record training and post it. I'm sure what we're doing right now is going to end up on the app at some point in time. We have ongoing meetings, trainings, continual training that happens, recorded training, pre-recorded training, mastermind groups, group coaching, individual coaching, you name it. To me, it's all part of creating that environment that makes people feel valued, connected, and heard. And then I guess I should point out, since we happen to be on this call with you in the locker room, that one big thing we've recently done is enter into that exclusive partnership with the locker room. And, I'm not trying to fluff you or build it up other than to say it's real. What we see is real. What we're experiencing is real. The training is there. The coaching is there. The infrastructure is there. And what we were looking at the size of our organization, the size of our staff, how can we get leverage? How can we ensure that each agent has a 24/7, ready, willing, and able, training, teaching, coaching tool? I mean, we have agents, some of them are still working jobs as they transition out. They're on third shift. They can't come in because they're sleeping, right? So we need ways to make sure we can engage them. And the locker room has offered us and afforded us this incredible opportunity to have this teaching and training and coaching system that's extremely robust, live all the time. So augmenting what we've done and our way of doing things and our method of teaching, training, and mentoring. And as we talked about the bar that we hold so high with our agents, now we've been able to augment it as well with the tools that you've provided. So I take that very seriously. I mean, this is a great honor for me, and it's something that I feel very strongly about, helping us infill those cracks that it's hard to fill when you have so many agents. And also when it's so, when someone's problem could come up at 9:00 at night, or it might be 9:00 at night where they've got free time to watch a video or do some training. And so to have that resource and to have it so robust and so proven effective has been wonderful. So I consider that a great new addition to our value proposition at the organization and another key to help us keep the agents valued, connected, and heard.
Well, dang. I did not ask him or pay him to say that, man. That means a lot to
I'm paying you
us.
To say that. So that's how it technically works. But I say that with joy and I say that with sincerity because the question that you ask leads right to it. We've got multiple pillars of where we're trying to help agents, and we identified an area where with staffing, leverage, what we're trying to do and where we're trying to get is we need help. And when you and I engaged, I could see right away that our alignment in terms of business philosophy and how we were teaching and training, and it's a service-oriented approach that was well aligned with what our organization is and was and is going to be into the future.
Well, that's the best part is the feeling is mutual, it's reciprocated, and we feel just as honored to be exclusive partners with you as well. And I wrote down a couple things, then it's your, I think, last and final question for me. But what I heard out of what you said, I mean, again, so many gold nuggets, so much wisdom there. Two highlights was you're proactive. You and your staff are very proactive, always seeking ways, or that individual agent that we can pull aside, talk to, grab a cup of coffee with, very proactive, rather than many that I have worked with or spoken to, at least over the years, tend to be reactive because they're just spinning so many plates. The last thing they kind of get to in their day is the retention. And an agent kept is just as good as an agent grown with, I guess, in many ways. And the last thing was also coaching and leading and supporting to the whole person. You're interested not just in how many conversations and closings did you have today, but hey, did you get that workout in?
Absolutely.
Did you go to church? Or whatever's important to them. How's your personal life? Because it's all integrated. And the purpose of business, I believe, number one is to be profitable, and number two, that profit funds your ideal lifestyle. Otherwise, what's the point? And we got to make sure there's balance and some equilibrium going on there. Okay. Your turn to ask me the last and final question, then we'll wrap it up for the day.
Okay. And I actually had a little bit of a theme. So we've started with the ideal agent, the new agent, and now I'm going to ask you, in your experience, how do you effectively coach an experienced agent?
Oh, okay. That's good. The answer I'm going to provide you might shock some. It might not shock others. And frankly, it's kind of no different, Joe. Truly, I mean, the level of the problems, the level of the challenges, the level of the conversation does elevate. But listen, I'm working with an agent, or recently was working with an agent who does, I don't know, ballpark 90, 100 units a year. And guess what? I'm talking to them still about database management, time management, others, lead gen, systems and process. It's the same stuff. It's just a different perspective, different take, different level of challenge or problem. But the fundamentals of the game are the fundamentals of the game. The blocking and tackling is the blocking and tackling, which is why one of the tools we created here at Locker Room that you guys now have access to and utilize is what we lovingly call the agent wheel. Well, if anybody is familiar with the wheel of life exercise, it's kind of a take on that. But what we've done is we've created this exercise with 4 main quadrants for an agent's business, starting with growth, then productivity, then systems, and then profitability. Typically speaking, any challenge or blind spot can be traced back to one of those 4 key areas. Now, inside that quadrant, each of those quadrants is 3 subcategories. Okay, so we've got 12 categories in total for the entire wheel. And every 90 days, we're working with newer and yes, even top dog producing agents where we go through this wheel exercise and ask them to score. It's very subjective, but ask them to score on a scale of 1 to 10, each one of these little pieces of the pie. And then we step back and look and analyze, well, now we can assess the health and viability of my business and identify my next 6-figure focus for the upcoming 90 days. We work in 90-day sprints, 90-day objective increments of time, and reverse engineer a plan of action. And we just nail that thing, whatever that thing is, for the next 90 days. So it's very custom to the person and yet very methodical on our end, because we call the overarching system the Locker Room Success System. We take agents as well as broker owners, and you and I just did this, Joe, through this system, through this methodology, a coaching framework that took us 9 months to develop and piece together based on what works in other books and inspirations along the way. And it's very unique and custom to us. So although it's a rhythm, it's a framework, what happens inside of that allows a lot of autonomy and individualized freedom to say what's important to you and what are we going to tackle over the next 90 days, because you scored lead generation a 3. What needs to happen in 90 days to take it from a 3 to a 5 or a 6? Define that for me. Right. And then we make a goal, we reverse engineer the plan, and we hit it every single week for the next 90 days.
Okay, I love that. Yeah, that
Yep.
it's funny. I tie a lot of what I do back to my experience as a flight instructor, because there's just a lot of parallels between the real estate industry and the aviation industry. It's a story for a different day. We could talk for hours about it. I think it's fascinating. I would teach, say, a pilot coming out of the military. I mean, I had a student who was an F-16 pilot, but when he got into a single engine aircraft to earn his civilian certificate, he was behind the 8 ball and was struggling. And in fact, he got so frustrated me at some point in time, because I was holding him accountable to what he had to do and he was struggling to do it, that he basically said, come down to the F-16 simulator tomorrow and I'm going to whip your ass in the F-16 simulator and you tell me how hard it is to actually fly, because he was really thrown off by his lack of fundamental skill sets, because he was flying such a technically advanced aircraft. He didn't have to mind his P's and Q's in a way that someone flying a different type of aircraft might. Wasn't to take anything away from him. He was obviously a decorated, I think, lieutenant colonel, or I mean, he was he ran the air base where I was at, and so was serious. But you would step to the outside and say, what am I teaching F-16 pilot? Well, I found out a lot. I could teach this guy all kinds of stuff about how to be better in the aircraft, how to better manage the systems than he was currently doing, because he had only come up essentially in that one environment. And we're seeing now agents who, for example, have been in the business for 20 years, the business has almost lapped them in such a way. What you used to do 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, some of it's still very effective, like open houses. There's some things that you can do that still work really, really, really well. But, how you acquire leads, how you create new relationships, where you get in that flow of new business has dramatically changed. And so even experienced agents at times need that guide work, that framework to come back to where, they know how to sell a house. They know how to interact with people. They know how to get through a transaction, but getting the fire burning, getting that flow of new opportunities in those meetings, like you said, daily activities that you do, sometimes that has to be refreshed. And so, to your point, in many ways, it's the same skill sets that you would teach a brand new agent, but some of it's more tweaking, refining. And for me personally, it takes sitting down with them and talking through what they're currently doing to try to get a clear understanding, because then you start to find some of the holes and gaps that you can infill. So you don't just go in like a new agent and assume they know nothing. You really have to spend some extra time finding out what they really do know, possibly educate, train on that to start, and then build upon that foundation into some new skill set or tool that they can use to grow and maintain their business.
Completely agree. Yeah. And that's very, very consistent with what we do. When we first onboard somebody, we don't jump in saying, we know your business. We do the wheel. Then we go through a series of audit questions, essentially to really scuba dive and get to know, what are you currently doing? What's working? What's not working? And then we'll establish what's the new 90-day goal, game plan, and so forth from there. And we rinse and repeat that every single 90 days. When one sequence of 90 days finishes, we also toss in there what I call the KISS exercise, which is studying your game film. Just like a quarterback marching off the field after a turnover on downs, he's got a tablet in his hand and he's scrolling, watching the frame by frame plays. Well, we do that with an agent, with broker owners every 90 days as well. We just call it the KISS exercise. What do I need to keep doing? What do I need to be more intentional about? What do I need to stop doing? What do I need to start doing? Those of you military, it's kind of like an after action review, AAR. Call it whatever acronym you want, but it's important that you have that marker that says, pump the brakes, slow down. I'm going to work on my business today, reflect back on the prior 90 days. What went right? What went wrong? What adjustments do I need to make moving forward? And then we reestablish the new focus, develop the plan, rinse and repeat every 90 days. So that's essentially what the locker room success system is. And it's working really well for us and the people that we partner with. So
it's excellent. It's fun. It's fantastic.
Well, Joe, this has been absolutely amazing. These are one of those that I love going back and listening and watching them and plucking out the notes, using AI to kind of, create a one sheet from it. You dropped some serious wisdom and just truth bombs on us today. And I thank you for that and your time, because I know how valuable your time is. So we'll leave it here. Any last minute parting words that you want to leave us today before we break?
I just want to thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I love these types of conversations. I think they're important. And I just want to encourage anyone listening to stay in the game, keep fighting, keep pushing forward. If nothing else, fall forward, right? But keep putting one foot in front of the other. This is a phenomenal business to be in. It's one of the most rewarding professions that you can possibly get in terms of people satisfaction and the potential for an economic or financial award. So I just want to say I'm so thankful to be in the role I am, so thankful for our staff, my wife and her support. And this is a heck of a journey. And I'm so thankful we're going to walk this journey together here, Jake. So I appreciate everything.
You bet. My last one, if somebody, maybe a broker from another area, an agent listening to this, if somebody wanted to connect with you outside of this, how might they connect with you, Joe?
Well, you can email me at joe@joehaydenrealtor.com, and I'll give my phone number. I have no problem. Call, text 502-641-3776. Embarrassingly enough, I got off social media about 8 years ago for some personal reasons. So I'm not really findable on social media. I'm more yapping in these types of environments. But you're more than welcome to call, reach out directly. I'm always open to conversations. I love the growth that comes from healthy debate about our profession. So feel free to reach out anytime.
Take him up on it, guys. He's a smart man and he has definitely got a servant heart. So Joe, thank you so much again. This is absolutely amazing. And we'll make this replay available for anybody. Stay tuned, guys. We got more of these broker showdowns coming up. If you like it, give us some love. Let us know what you're getting from these things. And definitely reach out to Joe if you want to connect with him. So we'll leave it there. And thank you so much, sir. Really appreciate your time today.
All right, thanks, Jake. Take care.
All right. We'll see you.